So as many of you know, if you attended our first webinar in this series, we reached out to our community in recent weeks because we knew that everybody was experiencing the coronavirus and its impact in a lot of different ways. And we wanted to hear from all of you. What are you really needing? What are the things that you're struggling to figure out when it comes to pivoting and shifting your business strategy? And one of the big questions we got asked was, how the heck do I set myself up to sell online? Because a lot of you were used to interacting with your clients in person, or maybe going to a coffee shop to close a conversation, and you weren't quite prepared to set yourself up to transact or connect or convert people on the internet. And we've had a lot of conversations internally this week about the importance of small business owners really setting themselves up to say, hey, we're still open for business, because small business owners run so much of our economies and keep so many people employed. And so we thought it was really critical to do a session that helps educate people with the skills that we have here on our team about what it takes to really set people up to run efficiently on the web. So this is me. My biggest thing that I want to share today is just that I think it's a really, really important time to lean into the tech that we have available and check out all the different platforms and technology and mediums where you can use the internet as a way to connect with people virtually and keep your clients supported and business going. And I think that a lot of us had been putting these things on a back burner for a little while. For example, I shared a story recently about my dad, who my dad is the hearing examiner for the city of Seattle. And they had this long 5-year plan about the transition to use some virtual technology and online doc storage. And it was like 2 years of consulting and then 3 years of implementation. And suddenly they were thrown into doing it in 2 weeks. And I think it's a huge testament of how much we can do if we get out of our own way and we just dive in and do the work. And so I just want you to know that, we're here to help you figure out how do you set yourself up for success so that you can keep yourself running and you can keep your clients running. But that's me. Let's hear about Aljolynn.
So my big thing that I'll be focusing on today in terms of the B2C portion of getting set up to sell online is, don't let perfection paralyze you from taking the first step. People want to see that you're online and that you have your shop set up. Even if it's not perfect, they want to support you. So don't let perfection paralyze you. Just make sure that you have your intention in place and that you're open to the customer feedback that you get. And we'll dive into that a little bit more, but don't let perfection paralyze you. Just go for it. People want to support you.
I love that. And I shared a story with our team this week about one of my dear friends she's a hairstylist, and she's, shop is completely closed by our governor's order. She's not allowed to be operating business right now. And they had all of these clients reaching out because they're so loyal and they love her and her business partner. And we're like, how can we help? How can we help? And, it wasn't until people were like asking her for her Venmo information so they could just send her money because they wanted so badly to ensure that her business was up and running, that it really started to click for her that, it's not too much to ask to transact with people right now. People actually really do want to support small businesses. And so part of the things that we can be doing is showing up online so that our customers can find and figure out ways to transact with us to continue to support us during this crisis. So this is where we're headed today. We're going to just start, kicking things off with the current climate, just giving you a little sense of what's happening in the online selling market right now, because we've got to dispel some notions that people have about, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing business right now, or maybe it's the unethical thing to do. We're here to bust that belief right in half. Then we're going to talk about B2B best practices. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about what it's like to sell services online, because that's my experience that I bring to the table. And then I'm going to hand things over to Aljolynn, because she has huge experience working with all sorts of e-commerce companies, including her company Ladybox, that specializes in a subscription-based service. And so she's going to talk about all of that best practices in e-commerce sales. And then from there, she's going to dive into some really important pieces on marketing strategy. She is our director of marketing, so she's the queen in this domain. And then we're just going to leave you with some action items so that you have a clear sense of what you can do to walk away from this session. So here's what matters most, more than anything, is that, whether your clients are brand new to you or they're been with you for a really long time, people are going to really, really remember how you treated them during this time. And so you need to make sure that what you're doing is something that people value, and you need to set it up so that you can get paid for it as seamlessly as possible, so that you can get whatever that product or service is into the hands of people who need it most. So for anybody that's been just, in full-fledged hibernation, an ice cream induced coma, or anybody who might watch this on YouTube or in one of our member portals after the fact, let's just set the stage real quick in terms of what we're seeing. So first of all, I want to talk about market trends, because I think this is really, really important. People are buying. A lot of people believe that folks are not buying right now, that people are being really close with their wallets. And that is a little bit true. We're all getting more conscious about what we're spending, but people are spending. So depending on the industry, we've seen an uptick in e-commerce, anywhere from 13 to 24%. I heard new numbers this morning that were even higher on the radio. So spending is most certainly happening. And consumers, particularly in the US, are moving their shopping online because we want things that can be delivered to our doorstep, or that we don't have to leave our house to purchase, essentially. And I think in addition to this, everybody is feeling this sense of brand loyalty that is kind of unprecedented. We want to hear from the companies that we care about and connect with, and really give our money to the companies that we feel most strongly about in this moment. And I think that that's one of the really interesting and cool opportunities about this crisis, is that, at least on my own part, I'm getting a lot more conscious about whose money, whose pockets are we padding right now. So for example, we do this thing once a week where we're eating out at a local restaurant that allows for us to do online ordering and then just pick up from the front door. And even my son the other day was like, oh yeah, like, I can't remember if it was Subway or somewhere else, but he was like, they don't need our money, and so he was realizing, because we've been talking about it so much, the importance of just being loyal to the small shops that we really love. The other thing that we're seeing is just an unparalleled uptick of engagement in terms of email communications. And Aljolynn, can you just set the stage? How does this 40% of increase in open rates compare to normal trends in email open rates?
So across the board, an open rate for emails, when you're thinking about B2C, can range from like 20 to 40%. And so if you're thinking about that 20 to 40%, and then you add on another 40%, that's a really high open rate for those emails, because people are wanting to purchase online more.
Yeah. And I think, there's all sorts of things happening. Like, I've been totally guilty of some impulse purchasing. I'm sitting on the couch, doing some Instagram scrolling and impulse purchasing, but I'm also transacting more with certain businesses. Like, for example, we used to be, kind of infrequent folks when it came to online meal kit delivery. And we've been doing it on a weekly basis now, because it's a great way for us to get fresh produce delivered to our home. So I'm definitely watching what those companies are sending me. And I'm also curious, I think all of us are curious to see how companies are handling and responding to this crisis. And I think that's why it's so important to really be considerate of what we're saying and sharing, because again, people are going to remember. People are going to remember if you sent them an offer that was totally tone deaf, and they're also going to remember if they got a great deal or had a great online interaction with your company. So the last thing, and this is just to create some levity, is this is my favorite stat that I heard last week, which is that there's been a 652% increase in the sales of bread making. So I should correct this here. It's not making bread online. It's that you can buy a bread maker online. This language is a little unclear, but that's what happens when you create slides at 10 o'clock at night. But people are investing in things that might seem a little off the wall, or might have seemed like a purchase that, someday, I'll have time and I'll make bread at home. But really, there's all sorts of categories you can look. There's articles after articles of all these interesting trends of people purchasing things that you might not expect. And I think it's just an amazing testament to how markets shift in response to crisis. And so this belief that people aren't buying things really isn't true, because everybody and their cousin is buying a bread maker. And then, like, all of my thrifty friends are like, girl, wait just like 6 weeks. I'm going to get like the best deal on a bread maker on eBay because everybody's going to discover they're not actually artisan bread makers from, they're just staying at home and trying to find something to do. All right. So besides that, we've got a problem. We've got a problem out here for everyone on this call. You know what I'm talking about. This is why you showed up this session, which is that selling online seems really complicated. And I remember experiencing this when I started evaluating how do I set up, e-commerce, or how do I, handle sales tax? Is it a digital good? How does a download work? Which payment gateway should I work with? It all just feels like a lot, and it feels really complicated to piece it together. But I think the thing that people forget is that you have to always start with strategy. So what is the goal of selling online? What are you hoping to deliver to your customers? And then from there, you can align the right pieces of technology and the process that you can set yourself up to attract new and existing customers to purchase online. And this can be done really simply. So Aljolynn, you shared with me, was it last weekend or a couple weekends ago, you set somebody up to sell online in like a day? Is that true? I remember a conversation about it was either a Shopify site or a Squarespace situation.
It wasn't in a day. It was it's like really easy to set up like the actual account and like put in the basics in a day. In terms of uploading all of the products and everything, that takes a little bit longer. But in terms of like setup, skeleton, yeah, it can take a couple hours.
Yeah. So case in point, this beautiful t-shirt I'm wearing, this is one of my clients, Dina. She's amazing. And it says Strong World Woman. And I shared it with some of you earlier, but some of you hadn't hopped on yet. And this is, she set up a Shopify site. She knew that it was something she had wanted to explore for a while. And she didn't have a ton of products. She just had these beautiful t-shirts. And she put them up, got it up and running. And, I think she originally ordered 50 shirts and sold out almost instantly because people wanted to support her. And so I think that's a huge testament to when you kind of get out of your own way and just get to it, there's a lot of ways that we can set ourselves up pretty seamlessly and pretty quickly too. Okay, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes, because I always like to have a path of like, where are we going? What do we need to do? So like I said before, we got to start with a plan. We've got to start with a sense of strategy. So this is really about getting crystal clear about what are you wanting to sell? Is it a service? Is it a good? Is it a digital download? Is it an online course? Is it coaching? What is it that you're going to sell online? And one of the things that I think a lot of us forget to do at this moment is to think about who do we really want to deliver this to. So it's really critical to think here, or even have a conversation with your clients or your customers and say, if I could give you anything right now, what would be most valuable? Now, I think it's also a fun opportunity that if you are feeling creative and you haven't tried something and you want to try something new, like selling t-shirts, dive in and just be clear as to what is your intention, what do you want to sell, and how do you want to deliver it to them? Because, there's so many different things we can sell online these days, and there's a lot of different delivery mechanisms based off of what is the actual good that we're delivering. Then from there, when we have a picture of what that is, then we can think about technology, because if we're selling a tangible product, we got to think about things like inventory, and we've got to think about how are we shipping things. Whereas opposed to if we're doing something that's a digital download, we've got to make sure that we've got that download technology set up, or if it's a course, that we've got a site where we can host the course, all sorts of things of that nature. So the technology is informed by that plan. And one of the most important things when it comes to selecting technology is just taking time to really make sure that your tools and systems go together. So I'm a big nerd when it comes to technology. I'm not going to lie here. We're going to throw out a lot of new tools and systems today. Just know that we're going to send you a follow-up email that's going to list them all out and give you hyperlinks. We're going to share our favorites based off our experiences too, and also off of the integration ability. So one of the things that we always try to avoid is anywhere where we're having to download and upload and do all this crazy stuff. We always look for tools and systems that talk well to each other so that it's less manual work for us and our team. And then from there, we got to figure out how we're actually going to get paid. So normally we always like a situation where we can integrate a payment gateway seamlessly into the online solution provider. And many sites like Squarespace or Shopify give integrated options. But we've got to make sure that we've got a good way to get the money, because I've seen so many situations where people maybe set up to render or sell the service online and then send me an invoice after the fact. And I'm like, why are you setting yourself up to potentially not get paid for something after you've already delivered it? So we really want to make sure that when we're selling online, that transaction is happening as close as possible to the same time as the good or service is being delivered, so that people don't walk out on paying you. And I see this happen a lot in service-based selling online. So I'm going to touch on this a little later. And then procurement. So we've got to have a clear plan. How do we deliver the thing? So if you're selling a coaching package online, great. How are you going to get in front of people and deliver that coaching? If you're selling a physical good, how are you going to get it in the mail and get it to that customer? So we'll talk about all that. All right. So let's talk about B2B best practices. So the thing that I want to just start out by saying is that if you're going to be in the business of selling services online, you've got to really be obsessed with customer experience. You've got to be thinking about, you're that person who's coming to your website and wanting, maybe is curious but unsure, doesn't quite understand what you're there to offer. And you've got to come from their perspective to be able to deliver and walk them through so that they can clearly see what they need, how they can get it, and how to get started. So I think that the most important thing to remember here is that oftentimes when we're selling from business to business, the stakes are a lot higher. I'll do a purchase online that I'm like, this site seems like okay. I did this last week. I bought my kids these, like, have you seen these, Aljolynn? This is like an Instagram targeted advertising moment. They're like these giant bubbles that you can like fill up with water and you like fall on them and they don't burst.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I had a glass of wine and I was like, this seems like it will keep the kids entertained for a couple hours. I think our neighbors had them or something like that. So I bought these, and it was all through Shopify. I could tell, I can tell based off the skin of the site. And the transaction comes and it's like, okay, definitely being shipped to me from China, but it was $15. If the package doesn't arrive, I'm not gonna be like end of the world. But in a B2B situation, the dollar amounts are higher, which means the stakes are higher and the expectations are higher. So we've really got to think about, what are the best practices? And for me, it starts with what I consider to be the law of attraction, and really the second somebody steps onto your website. So if you're selling online and expecting that the first interaction, the digital doorstep, is going to be coming through and coming to your site, and you don't have a site that's clear as to what you offer or who you're here to serve, you're going to run into problems. Like I'm going to just say this flat out the gate. If you don't have a sense of who you're wanting to attract and interact with, and people can't get that from your website, you're going to start wasting your time on folks that aren't actually qualified to work with you. And so I saw this early on when I was a little unsure of what my company was about and who we were here to serve and what were our core services, that I spent a lot of time on conversations where people would want to have a little chat back and forth. And I would say, well, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do this. And we all left the conversation a little uncertain of what we were here to do in the first place and whether or not we were a fit to work with each other. And so it took a lot of iterations to get really clear as to who we were here to serve, which is ambitious entrepreneurs and female founders. And then it took even more time to get really certain on, like, what are the services that we're best able to offer. And so over time, though, we've really distilled our message so that we're actually repelling people away. And this is a great thing to do up front, because if your message is strong enough and your offering is clear, people are going to come to your site and they're going to take a look and they're either going to say, that's a fit for me, or it's not. And that repelling factor is really, really important, because I think right now, more than ever, especially for us in the service-based world, it feels like time is really, really, really of the essence. And so if time is limited, we don't want to spend time, doing these, micro consultations or little catch-up calls with people who aren't going to convert into customers in a realistic time frame. So really set up your site first and foremost to think about how you can be attracting and repelling people appropriately, so that the folks that you're really pulling through to your sales funnel are people that are actually a fit to work with and that you want to work with as well. All right. Of course, there's a moment here, if I'm telling you, you got to be crystal clear on what your offer is. Let's talk about what your online offer is. Because again, there's a million different ways we can deliver services on the internet. We could deliver coaching. We could deliver accounting services. We could deliver marketing consultation. We could deliver a course. We could deliver all sorts of things. And what I want you to think about is, what is the thing that encompasses your greatest value, and how can it be delivered virtually? So this one is a little bit of a question mark, and sometimes we have to go away. Sometimes it can be helpful to just go to a client and say, if everything that I can do, what do you think would be most helpful to business owners like you during this time? So for me, I did an assessment this past week because we have our existing clients that we're serving. We're keeping up our cadence with them, but we've also had a lot of kind of new people, or people who are kind of hanging out somewhere in and around our pipeline, come our way, and they're interested. But what I've noticed is they're not quite sure which direction to go, because we're all a little upside down right now. And so we've really recognized that business owners are trying to figure out how to pivot in this moment. So we've started to offer micro coaching situations. So rather than an ongoing coaching relationship, for people who are just trying to figure out, how do I pivot in this moment, we're doing small chunks, 3 strategy sessions. And this has been really, really impactful. And it all came out of just having a conversation with a few of our clients and saying, out of everything that's going on right now, what would be most helpful? You know our skill set, you know all the things we could bring to the table. And it's just been these little conversations. Aljolynn had one last week with somebody we've been working with a long time, just trying to figure out, they're trying to do more digital marketing, and they're trying to figure out, how do they get, take advantage of the PR opportunities that are out there in the world right now. So just to have a condensed conversation that was focused on that pivot was the most important thing for our clients. So take some time to think about this, and then, recognize that it may be a modification of some services you've performed previously, or it may be something entirely new. I've seen a lot of folks who have been, teetering on the edge of something that is advisory in nature, whether that's coaching clients, or if they're in the accounting space, they're thinking about, how do I offer something that's more advice-based, because they know that there's somebody who holds expertise. And delivering an advisory or a coaching-based service is very easy to do digitally, but that might not be what you're used to. You might be more used to just meeting with people in person and having a little bit more of a casual conversation. So you might have to think about, how do I modify, solidify, and market that service accordingly? So if you don't have something burning that jumps out to you and you're like, that's it, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, take some time to write after this session about what you think your highest value offer could be that you could deliver in a virtual way. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is, once we've got people to our website, so we've got a clear sense of the offer, people are on the website, they're checking us out, how do we get them through in the quickest, easiest ways possible? So I call this qualification automation. Again, I'm a tech nerd. I love anything that gets people through without us having to do manual work. So first and foremost, just leveraging a simple web form is essential. It just gets you the information you need to look and say, is this person a fit for me? And I don't know about you, but I don't need another email in my inbox right now. I don't need somebody reaching out and going back and forth. Just give us the info up front. And this is a great way, again, to qualify somebody out. If they're not willing to just fill out a web form and give you the basic information about who they are, how to contact them, and what kind of services they're looking for, that's a good sense that they're too lazy to really engage with you, and so that you don't really want to work with them. So great tools that I love from a web form perspective. Our site right now is built out in Squarespace. Lots of other site builders like Wix and Weebly and all those things oftentimes include like an automatic form builder, and you just want to make sure that it's routed to an email address that's going to be checked regularly so that you can get notified when somebody fills out the form. I also really love Typeform. Typeform is just so pretty, and it allows you to do an HTML embed, which can be a really pretty way. It has a nice UI that allows you to really flow through questions. So I've seen a lot of folks just take a Typeform and embed it into their website to capture that information. And then also, if you're doing something that's more robust, like a CRM situation, like HubSpot, they have forms that you can build in HubSpot that then automatically pull that data into a customer relationship management system. So I would say look around at the tools you're already using and see if they have a native form builder, just so you can use that so you don't have to pay for a new one. And then if they don't, something like Typeform could be a really great way to get started. And then from there, you've got to get clear on what's your process. So based off of the answers you get, what is your yeses and nos? Like if somebody comes through and they're, in a certain industry or they're asking for services you don't offer, that's an obvious no. But it's really important to have a sense of clarity, because I think that sometimes, especially in a business climate like what we're facing right now, we kind of get in this mode of like, whatever comes in is a client. And I can tell you, and you can just give a big nod if you agree. Like, there's nothing worse than working with a client that wasn't really a fit for you in the first place. And so this takes some trial and error, but you have to really get a sense of who you are here to serve. And so that you can see and look at the responses to a web form and say, oh, you're worth a conversation or you're not. And then based off of that sense of clarity, for the folks that you feel are a fit, or even for the ones that are not, just simplify your life by setting up some email templates. So every email provider, Outlook, Gmail, etc., has the ability to just store some email templates. If you use a CRM, you can store templates in there too. But just do 2 templates. One is, hey, thank you so much for submitting the web form. We'd love to set up a call. Here's a calendar link to schedule. So that's like a tool like Calendly is a great one, or Booker, or there's all these other different calendar scheduling tools, but that's so that, again, we don't have to waste time playing the scheduling game. Just give them the information, set up a time. Don't give people a ton of time. I'll talk about that in just a sec. And then, same thing if it's a no. Hey, thank you so much for your interest. Unfortunately, you don't seem like a fit to work for us. And even if you change that template slightly, like you might see somebody come through and say, oh, but they're a fit for this person. You can add that in as one sentence, but you'll save yourself a lot of time by just automating these little pieces of the puzzle, so that you don't have to recreate that email from scratch every time, or that qualifying process every time from scratch. Okay, this one is the most important piece of the puzzle. You selling services, selling B2B is still a personal process. We are still humans selling to other humans. I'm not getting a widget. I'm not getting a bubble ball off the internet. I'm essentially being sold on you as a person. I want to buy from you. So get on a call and make it personal. Get on a call and get a sense if that's a person that you actually want to work with. And also get on a call and get a sense if that person's really gonna do business with you, because there are so many people right now who are just reaching and scraping and trying to find somebody to hold on to. But if somebody doesn't seem like they're gonna be a part of your business activities in the next 90 days, don't give them any more energy or value for free. You have to remember that there are people out there who need your services and are willing to pay for them. And so as much as we want to help everybody, we've also got to have some really clear boundaries of our value and our time. So just get on a call, connect with that person. And if they feel qualified, make sure that you're having a really clear discussion of what their needs are and what the services are that you offer, to make sure that they're in alignment. And, I think it's really important on these kind of calls to just really set boundaries and goals up front by just being like, here's what I'd like to cover, and if if you do this, it really sets the tone so that people see you and respect you as the person in authority and the person who's got the expertise to bring to the table. And it doesn't turn into one of these conversations where somebody's just trying to pick your brain for free. Especially for us in the consulting space, we always have people kind of hanging out around our pipeline who's like, oh, I just want to borrow 30 minutes of your time to just get your input on something. And I'm like, unless you're turning into a client in 90 days, or you're a really dear piece of friends and family, I'm not going to give you that pick your brain time for free. Because there's too many other people who need our help, and I still have a family to feed. I still have a team to support. And it's just really interesting to see who shows up during these moments. I had one this morning. It was somebody I'd had a few conversations with last week, and they immediately sent an email, said, we want you as a part of a strategy conversation. We'd really value your input. Please send us your rates, period. So people who want to do business are direct about it. So you need to approach these conversation with a level of directness so that people respect you in that way. And then, you know, on the video call, just like we're showing our faces here, this is a human moment. You can see my facial expressions. You can hear the passion in my voice about what I do. You know that I'm in it. And just in that same way, you can feel that from a prospect so that you can determine and really check in your gut if they're a right person to be working with you. Now, this is a little bit of a steal from a course that we teach called Selling with Your Soul. I'm really, really big on making sure that we are selling in a way that's result-based and really has an intention and agenda. And I think sometimes when we're selling online, because it feels so different than when we're having those kinds of coffee shop conversations, it can be really easy to let these conversations lag on or kind of get into the weeds. And so if we're offering our time to people, and time is of the essence, we've got to be really clear what we're doing with that time. So this is a structure and strategy I follow for every single of these little free 30-minute kind of consults to see if somebody's a fit to work with us. 5 minutes, pleasantries. Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? Great to have you on the call. How are you surviving coronavirus? Next 5 minutes, let's talk about your pain points. This is my listening moment. I sit back and I say, tell me the situation you're facing, how you got into it, and what you're looking to do next. Something of that nature that opens the door for a conversation, and then step in if somebody gets into the weeds here. Because if somebody's just like, and then this happened over here, and then this happened over here, and they're not really getting clear to where we could start to align for a solution, that's somebody to me who doesn't know what they need yet. And if I don't have a clear sense that I can guide them to that, they're not a fit to work with me. So by 10 minutes in, I know we could either work together or we're not. And at this moment, I will tell somebody we could either work together or we cannot. And so at that 10-minute mark, that's when I start discussing solutions that we offer and pricing, or that I say, hey, you know, just hearing your scenario, it sounds like you're a little uncertain of where you're at. And while I wish that I could help, I can't, until you're clear, I can't be clear on how we can help you. So here's some free resources I might recommend you, or here's another provider that I think that you might be a fit for. And then I'll send them on their way, and I won't spend the 30 minutes on the call. But if they do seem like a fit, this is where we get super tactical and we say, we do offer marketing services and they look like X, Y, and Z, and our pricing starts at this. How does that align with your budget and what you're envisioning and what you think you need? And then if we're on the same page, then we start talking about logistics. We talk about, okay, so what that looks like is, you know, we meet with you this many times a month. We often deliver, you know, these kind of add-on services, just giving them a clear sense of envisioning what it looks like to become a client, really. And that's the thing is, again, we're selling an experience. So this is my 5 minutes, just like I heard their story in the beginning. This is my 5 minutes to tell the story of what it will feel like and be like to become a client of mine. And then the last 5 minutes is just follow up. This is just like we set the tone at the beginning, we set the tone at the end. Okay, it's fantastic. I really think that we're going to work well together. Let's go ahead and move forward with a proposal. It's going to include XYZ. You're going to see an email with me outlining what we discussed on this call. From there, we're going to have a proposal, and we'll set up a call next Tuesday to talk through it. I always make a point at the end to also set up the next conversation so that we can get back on a Zoom call, back face-to-face, talking about it, and not just throwing a proposal over the fence and hoping they sign it. So clear mission leads to clear results. We've got to really, in that online environment, again, it can feel a little willy-nilly. We can get a little less focused because, you know, we're all going through so much. So make sure that you make the most of your time by just following a concise strategy, so that just in the same way you wouldn't let, if you were a small shop, you wouldn't let some random person just like walk in and like hang around and be like, oh, I think I want to buy some things for hours on end. You know, you would step forward and say, hey, how can I help you? And so that's what we're doing on these conversations. And this last piece is super, super important here, particularly for us that are in this consulting realm, is to not give away the goodies. It gets really tempting for us, especially if we love helping people solve problems, to just be like, oh yeah, what I would do is X, Y, Z, or start strategizing right away before they're assigned client. So what we can do instead is just give examples of, hey, yeah, when instead of saying this is the solution to your problem, here's the way that we've worked with a client in the past who was facing something similar. And don't outline all the details, but give an example so somebody believes that you have the credibility to solve a problem like the one they're facing. And also, you can ask a lot of questions. So instead of giving all the ideas you've got right out the gate, ask some questions to gather information so that you can go away and create a proposal that really allows you to kind of outline some of the basics of what you think strategy could look like for the client. And then these two pieces are just super, super important about closing the client. So say we've had this conversation, we've talked online, they've gone away, we've gone away. Now we've got to get them to get ready to work with us. And this is where I see a lot of selling online fall apart. I had it happen last week with somebody, and what it was this: throw the proposal over the fence and bail. And they also didn't have payment details attached, which always surprises me because, again, I just never could imagine any other situation where you would go into a store and they'd be like, go ahead and take that home. We'll let you pay us for it in a month. So the contract and the payment are super critical pieces. And whenever possible, I really, really recommend that you figure out ways to tie the two together. So what I mean by that is leveraging technology. There's lots of tools and solutions out there. Some of my favorites are FreshBooks, HoneyBook. Practice Ignition is what we use here internally, and Dubsado is another one. So these are all pieces of technology that are designed for service-based businesses, and they include a feature that allows you to send a proposal or a contract that also has payment details available. So what that means is that you can set it up so that in order for somebody to sign on the dotted line, they also have to put in their credit card information, or at least give you that, initial payment up front or something of that nature, so that you can hold on to that info and know that you can start delivering services without having somebody walk away on the invoice later on down the road. So I think this is really, really important. And the technology exists. Why not use it? Make sure that you can guarantee that you're going to get paid. And then just do it in a way that really feels modern. So again, if you're really wanting to feel like a business owner that's set up to sell online, delivering your contracts in, a digital format that allows for somebody to sign, if they can't sign it on an iPad, that's not going to feel modern to your clients. And so if you can integrate that into your website somehow, that's really cool as well. And it depends on how closely tied you want to be to the process. But I even know coaches that have set up software so that you can literally click up a button on their website on a landing page that they send you after their discussion. You can click a button, the contract will render with all your information, you sign, add your payment details, and send. And the cool thing about that too is there's lots of ways we can automate after the fact. So the second that the contract comes through, you can have an email that automates out to the customer saying, we're so excited to have you on board. I've even seen people build beautiful videos that go out to their customers the second they sign, just saying, thank you so much. We're excited to do business with you. And then again, sending some sort of initial gift or some initial invitation to a first call or something that gets somebody to feel like they're becoming a part of your business, as opposed to just feeling like, okay, I paid them, like what happens now? So this is just the 1, 2, 3 of handling with care. Deliver your next steps along with your proposal and be open to feedback here. Sometimes you'll deliver a proposal and you'll have that conversation and you won't quite hit the mark. And so do your best to not be defensive, but to really listen to people and then reevaluate and resend the information accordingly. And then always make sure to connect with people as soon as possible after they've signed a contract with you, because again, it can feel like it just went out into the ether of the internet. And so it really means a lot to somebody to hear from you and say, hey, I saw your proposal came through. I'm so excited to start working with you. And then, you've got to also reach out. So again, if we're not meeting with people in person, we can feel a little lost and lonely. So reach out regularly just to ensure that the client knows, even if you're doing work behind the scenes for them, how is it progressing? Can you use a project management system that shows them how you're doing that work? Or can you just touch base with them as you go so that they know what's happening? I've heard a lot of stories of people who signed up for service-based businesses and didn't even know that work was happening. And so they didn't feel like value was existing because they weren't being informed by their provider. So it's really important to not just connect after the payments happen, but also to continue to connect and demonstrate value for your customers in a virtual environment. So last thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up, is just you got to make it human. You know, even though we're leveraging tools and technology, connecting on Zoom, we know that mistakes happen and software isn't perfect because people aren't perfect. And so if and when mistakes happen in your selling online, you know, just remember that your goal is to be in service of other people. So be human and show up and say, hey, you know, software glitch, these things happen, I'm sorry, you know, let's get it back in order, so that your clients feel like they've got a personal connection to you rather than just being another number in your queue or another person who signed up online. All right, that's me. Aljolynn, take us away.
Okay, that was awesome, Madeline. Thanks for going through that. Okay, so before we dive into B2C best practices, I just want us all to take a collective breath, smell the flowers, blow out the candle. Okay, cool. All right, so it's important to, like, before you even go to shopify.com and start figuring out, okay, I'm ready to sell my physical goods to customers online, to take that breath and be like, okay, I'm ready, I have my intentions, I'm good to go to start selling to customers. So let's dive into some best practices here and different technologies, marketing strategies that you can utilize. Do I have control? Oh. Okay. So, question, should I even sell online right now? Hell yeah, you should. People want to support small businesses so hard right now. There's so many people that are on Facebook and Instagram asking, how can we support you? Madeline showed a great example, or shared a great example of her really good friend in Seattle. People asking for her Venmo information. So yes, please sell online. People want to support you and purchase your goods. And right now, there's a huge influx of online purchasing behavior, which we shared earlier in the presentation. There was another stat here from Adobe saying that there's an 817% surge of essentials like hand sanitizers, gloves, masks, and antibacterial sprays, but there's also a surge in other essentials and pampering, self-care, or even art. So it's not just tied to the essentials, it's tied to just about everything, from food to art. All right, to Shopify or not. So the big question is, for different types of businesses that sell physical goods, which e-commerce platform do I use? And the question to ask yourself in that, so that you can answer which one, is, do you have a physical good that has a lot of SKU numbers and you need integrations for marketing tools like Facebook, Instagram, and MailChimp, or Klaviyo, if you're a little bit more advanced? And if the answer is yes, then you do want to utilize something like Shopify, because it has all of the backend analytics that you need. It'll help you alert you on when you need to fulfill orders. It's a really great all-in-one e-commerce platform to use. Now, if you are an artist and you have high value, unique items, and it's not a lot of SKUs, you don't really need to type those in, I would recommend Squarespace. It's a beautiful commerce platform to utilize. You can use, and it is really set up for designers and artists rather than something physical good like cookies, t-shirts, and so on. So if you have more art to share, or services, Squarespace is a good tool for that. Other e-commerce platforms are WooCommerce, BigCartel, and Magento. Those are really good ones if you are a little bit more advanced in your e-commerce setup. But if you want to keep it pretty basic, just pick between Shopify or Squarespace. Okay, So what do you get when you use Shopify? And the reason I want to share this with you right now is because Shopify does want to help support small businesses so that they can get set up online. There is currently a 90-day free trial for small businesses, which is a really good deal. It gives you plenty of time to get your website set up, especially if you have a lot of tools. I am no way affiliated with Shopify. It's just I use it a lot for my own clients, and they have this really great deal going on. So what do you get when you use it? You can see there's basic and then Shopify and advanced. You take a look at these features on what you need. I would recommend at least starting with basic with that 90-day free trial. And basic gives you a lot of great integrations. Such as like being able to integrate Facebook and Instagram for shopping, which is important for physical goods. I don't know how familiar everybody is with Instagram shopping, but if you are into engaging with a brand, like let's say Nike, for example, they sometimes have it on their pictures. They can have these white dots on there, and if you tap on the picture so that you can see what those white dots are saying, those are shoppable photos that you can just tap on and then add to cart, and it makes it an instant buy. Great for impulse buying, like Madeline was talking about earlier. And so, yeah, Shopify Basic, you can get all the integrations that you really need so that you can get set up and ready to sell. That's a good one to go with. But evaluate your needs and your goals and intentions before you click buy. Okay, so what do you need to be able to get set up online? And I know this looks like a really long list, but it's the bare minimum basics that you need to get set up on Shopify or whatever e-commerce platform that you want to use. One, what is your online revenue model? Are you subscription-based? If you are, you're going to need to look into integrations that are compatible with Shopify. Are you just sell straight direct to consumer? They purchase, they click shop now, it's added to cart, and it's delivered to them. So think about what the revenue model is, so then that way you can have the correct integrations. Have a domain. I know a lot of businesses that are going from brick and mortar to online may not yet have a domain set up. So GoDaddy is a great tool for that, or Google domains. So if you already have Gmail set up with your businesses, you can actually just integrate your Google domain. So then that way it's all in one place there. Okay, the next are your point of sale, your SKUs, inventory, and payment processor. So Madeline talked about that a little bit on her section. It's important to like have your inventory all set up in a CSV file, which is part of Excel, with the volume of products per product, and even need to break it down by brand. So that's kind of like getting into the weeds a little bit, but know what your inventory is, know what your SKUs are, and put it in one place so that you can easily upload it to Shopify, because if you have it on a CSV file, it makes the setup so much more streamlined. Then have a payment processor. Stripe is really popular with Shopify, but Shopify, again, if you're using it, and all other e-commerce platforms will give recommendations on which ones are best used with theirs. Basic product descriptions. Again, in that CSV file, you want to have just basic 3 sentences, up to 3 sentences of what the product is. And that's another great way to just streamline that upload and setup when you're ready to get everything uploaded. And product photos. Good rule of thumb is to have a 400 by 400 pixel square photo to upload, because otherwise if you upload a photo that is more than 3 megabytes, or if it's bigger than 400 by 400, it's going to take up the whole page. and then people aren't going to be able to see the product information, the pricing, or anything. So that's important to remember. The correct photo size, and then no larger than 3 megabytes, because it'll take so long to load. Terms of use: Shopify and other e-commerce platforms have templates, and then it's easy to Google templates for terms of use, but that's important so people know how their information is being utilized. It's a privacy policy issue. Content management system. So Shopify, Squarespace, and some of these other commerce platforms actually have their own content management system set up. And that's important to have, so then that way if you want to start a blog on your site, or you want to have other pages to add, a content management system is important to have that set up so that you can do that, add content, which is really helpful for your search engine optimization, which we'll get into that a little bit later. After that is a CRM platform, a customer relationship management platform. Madeline mentioned HubSpot. There are other ones out there like Salesforce. And then Shopify has like a basic CRM tied into it. It can help you understand, oh, who's spending the most on your website. So then that way down the line, when you're ready and you have your basics set up, you can do some rewarding and scoring for your customers to make them, to actually have them be more loyal to you. Your email marketing platform can also help with that, MailChimp or Klaviyo. Then website analytics. So why is this important? It's to help you understand the behavior that people are taking on your website. Are they just going to your main homepage and then dropping off? Or are they exploring different pages and then purchasing? It's really helpful to understand the behavior flow of your website, so then that way you can modify things if you need, or make it easier and faster for people to purchase rather than them having go page to page to page. Two more, a 30, 60, 90 day marketing plan. So it doesn't have to be this whole like big Gantt chart Excel document of a 30, 60, 90. It can be something as simple as you write it on a piece of paper. The next 30 days, I want to have my site set up. I want to send 1 email. I want to have 3 posts go live in the next 30 days. And it can be super simple like that. Just break it down, because you need to be intentional about what you're doing on your website and in your marketing so you can get people to your website and purchase. Then a way to capture leads and retarget website visitors. So you may have heard of something like Facebook Pixels. Facebook Pixel is really great once you're ready to start advertising. So then that way, when people go to your website, you can target those people and remarket to them, so then that way they will purchase from you. And that's like a little bit more advanced, but Shopify has it set up in the back end where you can just grab your Facebook pixel from them and then just copy and paste it into Shopify, and it can just start going right away. You don't have to know coding. I think the next part is marketing strategy. Yes. All right. So we talked about a 30, 60, 90 day plan. So let's talk about what you need to put into that plan. 90% of Instagram users use it to follow businesses. I'm one of those 90%. If you look at my Instagram profile and you look at the number of followers I have versus the number of people I follow, it's way out of proportion, but it's because I follow so many businesses and I want to look at all their pretty content and look at all their deals. So I'm one of those 90% that is like looking and engaging with business profiles. I also look at the founders and CEOs that are a part of those organizations. So make shopping social again. So just because people cannot come to your brick and mortar right now, or you're not able to see them as often because you're doing curbside, no contact delivery for your customers, you can make it social. I mentioned before that Facebook and Instagram allow you to do that. And the integration that you can have with Facebook and Instagram is super simple with Shopify. Shopify walks you through it step by step by step on how to set that up. And it's a really simple setup. So make shopping social again. You can say, you can post something and make sure to tag all the different products that are available to purchase on your site. And then you can even just say, I've got these products ready, and place your orders. I'll start shipping them on Monday, and you have like a big weekend sale, making it social. Utilize those free integrations. We talked about that. And use social media as a source of customer service. The word social is in social media. Help your customers out, engage with them. They want to support you. They want to engage with you. They have questions that need answering. Be on top of it. Have a fast response rate. Within 24 hours is fast enough, but don't make it go past the 24-hour mark. Otherwise, they're going to feel abandoned. So make social media social. Help them out. And social media is also a great way to share customer testimonials, share their reviews. You'll see that some brands have designated hashtags, and in those designated hashtags, there's customers publishing user-generated content, and they have, you know, their caption like, I love this, get this, and a pretty photo. That's user-generated content. That's technically a customer review. Like it or comment on it, say thank you, engage with them on that, and then even take the opportunity to pull that photo. If you're using Instagram, you can do gramsave.com and just copy and paste the link into there, and then you can pull that photo. Just make sure you credit them and then post it, and then you're sharing user-generated content and you're showing some social proof that people are purchasing your products. Okay, what the heck is SEO and do I need it? SEO, search engine optimization, that is making it easier for people to find you online. Again, should you be selling online? Yes, and it's important to utilize keywords so people can find you online much easier. It's as simple as putting keywords on your website. So if you are selling cookies and they are gluten-free, then you say gluten-free cookies. If you're selling shoes and apparel, you say you want to utilize the brand names that you're selling and different, like, is it leather? Is it sandals? The different types of products that you're posting. So it doesn't have to be weird keywords. It's tied to your business. Videos are super helpful in helping you rank higher in search engine optimization for Google. And Google's not the only search engine. There's DuckDuckGo, Bing, Yahoo, but that's the most popular one. And Google loves videos. So if you're able to have them on your website, they don't have to be perfect, especially right now. We're not expecting perfection and polish, just something that is going to be engaging. So that helps. And make sure that you're labeling the photos. Don't just do IMG_123. Label it, name it. It'll help you increase your ranking on Google. And if you have the time, publish a keyword-rich blog post. It can be a simple 100-word blog post with one photo talking about a new product or this new art piece that you want to share with people. It doesn't have to be super complicated. Keep it super simple. Share and link back to content on your website as well as third-party sites. So what does that mean? If you have a blog post, it's great to link back to any sources that you're citing in there. It's also great to link back to any partner brands that you're working with. And then in turn, they should be linking back to you. So that's the share and link back to content on your website. So search engine optimization, it's not too difficult, especially in like setting up your shop online right now. Which email marketing is best for my business right now? MailChimp is great for getting started. You can do a free account for up to 2,000 contacts in your list. And then they base the pricing off of your list and how many emails you want to send out per month. And you don't have to send out a lot of emails a month. You can send out one if you need. It's just based off of your time and what you actually have to share with your customer base. Don't just send emails out willy-nilly. Again, you want to stick to a plan and intentions. So MailChimp, that one's a great one if you have a smaller list of 5,000 or less. Klaviyo is great for businesses that are ready to go full throttle. So if you're a business similar to Indigo Plum and downtown Pulseville, I'll use them as an example. They're a good one to use for Klaviyo. But if you are just getting started, like a small bake shop or an artist, MailChimp, just keep it as affordable, stick within your budget. And then Drip, some people may have heard of that. That's an awesome e-commerce drip campaign, nurture campaign, but only use that if you're really ready to start a nurturing campaign. It's a little bit more advanced, but it is great to start rewarding and nurturing your current customers and create a more loyal base. Okay, so I want to show you some examples of e-commerce sites just so you can get an idea that it doesn't have to be fancy. What people really care about is, how do I buy it? How fast can I buy it? And when is it going to get to me? So if your website shares that information, you're good to go.
Awesome.
All right, so this is an example of a food or consumer packaged goods food company. You can tell right away they are a cookie. You got these cookie dough scoops. They're paleo, they're vegan, they're gluten-free, and I can shop now. All right, I'm going to click on that, and I know what to do. So it's really engaging. Maybe you even want to call that some food porn right there. But yeah, it's like captures your eye. Yeah. And when you go to the next slide, you can see, okay, these are the cookies that I'm getting. This is what they cost. This is how many are going into it. And then once you dive into each cookie type, it tells you more. So this is a great example of, okay, I know what I'm going to get. I know how I'm going to get it. And then once you do the whole checkout, it'll tell you free shipping, and it'll get to you within 1 to 3 business days. So if you're a wellness company, if you sell nutraceuticals or supplements, if you sell pads and tampons, or any kind of wellness, lifestyle, health-related product, this is a good way to showcase lifestyle and how the product that you're selling benefits you as the customer. So bringing wellness, full cycle. Again, here's a clear call to action button, design your box. And then up at the top, the navigation, it tells you, it's super simple. There's only 3 links that you would click on there. The products, how it works, and some partnerships. The next, again, it tells you how it works, when you're gonna get it, and it'll take you through a whole process of a quiz, so then that way these boxes can get tailored to you. It's well designed too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I talked about Indigo Plum, or mentioned them. When you go to their website, indigoplum.com, this is a great one. It says, oh, you can set up a personal virtual styling appointment, which is so helpful right now. If you can't leave your house and you can't go and like try on shoes, this company will help you out with that. So then that way you can make sure you're getting the right products.
I love that. And I love it. I think that's such a great example of a pivot of how somebody who's used to selling in person is now selling online more.
Yeah. And you can see all the different types of shoes that they're selling, the brands, the pricing. You can see that there's different colors. There's a personal touch to the website. And it tells you like how to reach them.
Awesome.
All right. And I think this is the last example. So this is a vegan skincare company. you can tell like, okay, cleanse, I am going to be getting some kind of product that is going to be good for my skin. Again, you can see where I'm like where on the navigation, like how I can shop. And then even on the bottom left and on the bottom right, there's opportunities to either like know who's buying, and you can tell that there's like social proof there, people are buying from them, or engage with someone from the company and ask them questions. Oh, and get rewarded. If I'm a customer, I can see my rewards. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I've noticed on this couple of examples too, that people have these banners at the top, just giving an update of, free shipping, or, due to this crisis, this is what things are going on. So again, just this, getting obsessed with customer experience and really thinking about, if you were the person purchasing, like, what would you want to know? And so they're doing great key things to update people, that kind of information. Awesome.
And you can see, I like this as an example because as seen on, you can see that they've been interviewed in the news. So that is good for credibility, and again, some social proof there.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk action items. And these are actually B2B and B2C plans of action. So this is for everybody. So one, Aljolynn shared so many incredible examples today of the things that you need to do to set up online, to sell direct goods to customers. And I shared, what we need to do to sell virtually. And the clear things is to first just get really, really a sense of what it is that I'm going to offer. Is it a physical good? Is it a digital download? Is it some sort of service that I'm going to deliver through a virtual format? And so that you can then figure out, okay, am I going to be going out to Shopify, or am I going to be leveraging Squarespace, or how am I going to put this up online? And then from there, you need to set your site up accordingly. So this is to attract the right people in, draw those people into purchase, show them what you've got to offer, use your keywords, or, repel people away accordingly. If they show up on your website and they're like, I want all gluten, butter-based cookies, they're going to go to that one site and be like, this is not for me. So use your site as an opportunity to draw in and out customers as you see fit. From there, define your process. So what is the process? What happens next? Is that you're going to go out, and have a call with somebody, or is that you're going to instruct somebody how to shop? I love that example of the build the box. And it was just so clear, just like I had for 1, 2, 3 with, closing clients with carrots, was the 1, 2, 3 of getting somebody to get that box in their cart and go ahead and click the purchase button. And then, we've got to set up the tech. So we've got to set up everything we need, whether that's on the service-based side to schedule and sign, or if that's on the e-commerce side to just, get people purchasing and paying. Just set up the tech that makes sense based off of the process that you've outlined and the products or services you aim to deliver. And then, develop an onboarding experience that delights customers. I think this is the most important thing that we're, again, a little bit obsessed with over here, is like, what happens after that purchase moment? Is there an email that you send to people that says, we're so excited to be working with you? Or is it a video? Or is it, a page that has a little celebration? Or is it that you give somebody a special discount off of their next purchase? Or, that you highlight them on social media? What is the thing that happens next that gets somebody excited about either that package coming to their doorstep, or that first in-person meeting with you after you've gone through the whole conversion process? So this is your plan of action. Start by just getting really clear on what it is that you aim to offer. And then if we can help you, this is what we do at Fearless in Trading. So we have all sorts of services, but they fall under 3 core categories: communities, coaching, and consulting. So our community groups are educational communities that are designed for ambitious entrepreneurs. We have one that's just for women in this finance space, and we have another one just for our entrepreneurs who are looking how to scale successfully. We also coach business owners one-to-one. We have a team of coaches now. So I work with folks, but Aljolynn works with folks too. And if you saw our earlier webinar, Rachel works with some of our clients. And then we consult. So this is, not just giving you ideas, but actually getting tactical. So if you need help setting something up, if you're trying to figure out that 30, 60, 90 marketing plan and you need somebody to get hands-on with you, that's where our consulting comes into play. So take all this information and take it away. And then if you have questions, come find us. So this is how you get in touch with me. This is how you get in touch with Aljolynn. This is how you get in touch with our team. And if this was of value to you and you're looking for more skills and resources of this nature to set yourself up successfully, definitely check out our Learning Lab. That's kind of our favorite community to hang out with entrepreneurs, where we're just sharing best practices. We're doing a session this month that's all about actually how do you price yourself accordingly, and it's primarily for service-based business owners, but it's a lot of, we're going to be doing this amazing session that's all about kind of like the neuroscience and why we get in our own way when it comes to pricing, and what are the things that we could do to stop blocking ourselves and own our value. And the Learning Lab program, after this crisis started, we just made the first month free for everyone, because we know that there's so much value. Every month we hold a live session, we put it into the member portal afterwards, and then we add new articles and new pieces of content for our members every single week. So if that's of interest to you, check it out, let somebody know. And then next week, we've got a session going on about setting up your podcast. So if you're somebody who's trying to podcast during this time, who has a story to share virtually, make sure to check out that session as well. So that's all I've got. If y'all have questions, we're happy to stick around for a few more minutes to answer anything. I had seen Miss Dina came into the chat as well. She shared with us a code, which I was so excited to see. So if anybody really, loves this t-shirt that I'm wearing and wants to check out a Shopify experience, she put in an offer code for to get 10% off this Strong-Willed Women t-shirt. So thank you for that, Dina. And thank you all for attending and for, offering insight. One of my favorite ones that I forgot to mention earlier was that apparently cooking burns are up 40% because we all think we're home chefs. So we all shared some great stats today, and I just absolutely appreciate it. Well, thank you all for attending. If you need anything, if you've got questions that come up after this session, reach out to us. And it was great being here with all of you.